So Jamie, why are you running for town council?
So, like I said previously, it's been a terrific honor to serve the community. I'm a big believer in citizen involvement in government and community service. I think I've brought a lot of good experience to the job and the role. I think I've been very productive, and I'd like to continue that. I think there's good work still to be done. I think I bring a specific voice and approach and temperament to the job that is important to have. And I think I've done a good job at it, and it's something that I'd like to continue to do. I think there's some really important priorities in this town that I'd like to continue to work on common sense solutions for, problem solving, new approaches to old problems, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit as it relates to some of those things. But I've tried to be a strong advocate for certain positions, but also open-minded to a number of different views in town. I've been very approachable, very accessible to people, and it's something that I'd like to continue to do.
All right, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In order of importance, what do you think makes a town thrive today?
That's a good question. We've gotten that from a few people this year. One of the things is I think a really strong sense of community, and I think that's something that we really do enjoy here in Cape Elizabeth. There's this great, almost, indescribable small town feel that you have here, where people are really invested in the community. They have a lot of passion for the community. It's something that I share, and it's one of the things that drew us to town when we decided to move here 15 years ago. Lauren and I were just talking a minute ago about the multi-generational aspect of the community, which is something I really treasure and value. My wife's parents still live here. My kids are growing up with their grandparents, nearby. There are a lot of families that have raised their kids. Their kids are grown and flown, and they've chosen to still live here and grow old here and retire here. And I think that's something that's really valuable to the community, to have diversity of age and diversity of experience and things like that. One of the things that's obviously really, important and valuable to the community is a strong school system, and that's something that we've cherished and supported for a number of years, and I'd like to continue to see that happen, obviously. Access to incredible natural beauty and recreational opportunities, those are things that are important to the community. Those are, I think, some of the things that I would put at the top of the list, and like I said, some of the things that we're really fortunate here in Cape Elizabeth to have and to value. And one of the things that I'd like to do is to continue to work to protect those things for now and into the future.
Okay, fabulous, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What, in your opinion, what is your opinion on the condition and potential for improvement of our school buildings?
So obviously this is something that I was deeply involved in last year during the budget cycle when the renovation proposals were beginning to be talked about and brought forward. I definitely think there is work to be done, and important work to be done on the facilities, not just at the schools, but frankly, there's probably some other buildings in town that need attention as well. What I've been an advocate for is trying to take a wider view of those challenges and opportunities for improvement. And also trying to bring more people into the discussion to try and frame it up for them in a way that they truly understand what the need is, what the priorities are, and what the best path forward is to accomplish those goals. I think one of the things that happened through the budget cycle last year and through some of the meetings that we were having about the school facilities in particular was that there wasn't a good sort of holistic dialogue that was happening, and some of the things that were brought forward, and I know it were very initial assessments, felt like they were, not necessarily the top priorities, or things that were, potentially being recommended for an one-size-fits-all approach as opposed to maybe a phased approach, or, like I said, sort of that multi-layered approach that may involve other work in town and create some efficiencies of scale in some of the work and things like that. In the building we're sitting here in the library, we saw a few years ago where a grand plan was brought forward that, really came with a hefty price tag that people weren't comfortable with. I think a good cross-section of people weren't comfortable with. And good hard work was done to go back and refine that and come up with a plan that was workable. I don't see this, with the schools being any different, that there's sort of the wish list you come up with, but then you put pencil to paper and do the really hard work of prioritizing what the need is and coming up with the appropriately sized solutions for that need. And so I think that's kind of where we're at right now, and I look forward to hopefully having the chance to continue to work on that problem.
Okay. In last year's budget season, our town proposed addressing our school's district's dependency on state funding by adopting a new one-town approach for financial planning. What skill sets could you bring towards implementing the one-town vision?
In terms of skill sets, I think the very first thing is just my natural, open, collaborative, cooperative approach to things. I throughout my tenure on the council for my first term have been very a strong advocate for more dialogue than less, more opportunities to cooperate and problem solve, as opposed to working things in a siloed fashion. So I think that would be one of the things. I've also been challenging some of the norms. I think people that saw me speak during the budget cycle in the spring saw me advocate for again, coming up with new solutions to old problems. One of those things might be how we actually build the budget. Is there a way where capital expenses can be viewed more collectively than and taken out of the individual municipal and school budgets and looked at collaboratively? That's something I've talked about with the town manager. I'm pursuing and advocating for. We're finding that there may be some areas where that might be tricky based on how the state funding formula works and how you have to report expenses and revenues and things like that. But at least we're talking about it, and we're trying to, like I said, come up with new ways to tackle old problems. I think the other thing that the last year has taught me is that we probably need to get more involved with our local representation in Augusta, and I know that we'll be having some changeover in that, at least on the State House side, and potentially depending on what comes out of Senator Millet's election. But the council specifically and the school board have never recently been, I don't think, very engaged in advocating for Cape's needs and Cape's interests so strongly with our representatives to Augusta. And I think we need to change that. I think we need to get more involved with them. I know that when Senator Millett came to one of the school budget workshops in the spring and did a very good job prescriptively laying out, here's what is involved in the funding formula, and here's how that works. That was eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people, and even just understanding that better goes a longer way towards people being able to work the problem. If you know some of the component parts a little bit better, you can work towards the solution, I think, more effectively. And so I'm someone that has shown an eagerness to work on this issue, and I think that there is a way forward, but it's going to take some work.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
All right, great. Jamie,
Is
thanks
that
for
it?
meeting with us.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks.